It's excellent afternoon to all our viewers across globe. You know, where there is law, there is order, and where there is no law, there is disorder. And powers and authority should be governed by law to foster quality of both the leader and the followers. And I must say excellent afternoon again to all our viewers, and you're welcome to another edition of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike Atanda-Owo, and of course I have the Real Talker on the platform today. How are you doing, beautiful Dami? How are you?
I'm doing very well. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope it's another bright, beautiful day with us. Well, somehow I feel kind of exhausted today. Very exhausted, but it doesn't mean that we should lay our hopes flying. We should keep it flying. We should try as much as possible to make ourselves good citizens of Nigeria so that at least there can be progression. Good afternoon again and welcome.
All right.
Are you exhausted as well?
How are you doing?
Kike, it's a great day to be alive. We're here. We thank God for a new day. Hi, Damilola. That exhaustion, it's like the thing is spreading. But it's all good. Well, hello, viewer. Welcome to Real Talk with Kike, your real talk at lunchtime. Join in the conversation and let's see how we can move our nation forward.
All right, many thanks for all of that. I think a protest took place on this day in history segment during President Yaradua's administration. Let's get the details and we'll be right back.
On this day in history, in 2010, 5,000 activists staged a march in Abuja to demand the sacking of the cabinet and public appearance of former ailing president Umaru Yar'Adua 2 weeks after he returned to the country. The late president, Umaru Yar'Adua, earlier before this date, had been ill and flown abroad for treatment. He stayed for so long that there was pressure that his government should be retired and his deputies sworn in as replacement. The supporters of the ailing president flew him back to the country, but he was so ill that he could not get back to office.
All right, on this day in history segment, I remember how there was pressure at the time when late President Umaru Yar'Adua was not on seat because he was ill. And I just, you know, the takeaway for me is the fact that yes, that birthed a new era of Goodluck Jonathan at the time. And I'm sorry to say this, even though we all don't live in reality, but we have to, you know, be truthful on this platform. In as much as I pray that his soul continue to rest in perfect peace, but I don't think that I like the agitation that the state or the country was going through at the time. And I felt that going forward, they should, the people in the corridor of power, you know, they should always take a cue from this. You know, there's no reason why you cannot transition peacefully when you are ill, when you are not in a good state of mind. You know, why must you want to hold on to power? And I know that this same illness did not make him return to the office. And I hope that really we can see what is happening with this administration as well. I don't want to say more than that. Like we all know that I always say phone call after giving my submission. Enough. I don't want anybody to give me
so
an attitude to me.
Okay, well, I think 12 years back, it's an eye-opener because I said it to a couple of people on a plain discussion. I said we were Yar'Adua, late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was sentimentally sold to us, but I'm quite happy that he was able to leave an indelible mark. He had his administration pulled a bit of things together that we can actually testify to, which yes transitioned into Goodluck Jonathan, and the agitation we had then about him, we've had it even in this present administration, where we've had cases that our president is not in the country due to his health. And that's where I also come to say in 2023, I think we should make better choices. If people are not stable, let's just excuse the fact that it's cumbersome enough to want to be a local government chairman, going from ward to ward meetings and upon meetings. And we've had precedents. So do we want to neglect the precedents and now the antecedents will now fall apart finally? So I think Nigerians, we should consider something that is very major in 2023, which is stability for our sake and our progress.
Well, for me, I'll say this happened 12 years ago, and basically anyone can be sick. I mean, he was just human. The question is, right from when I was growing up, we've always heard about the cabals. who are these human cabals that we never really know about? Because they were the ones that made sure that his sickness was shrouded in so much secrecy, and it's like everybody was jostling for, power to get something out. So I don't think it's really him the most who didn't want to step aside. I don't think so. It was those around him, basically. But you see, I don't know. I'm sure we will do better.
Going into the discussion of the day, news headlines popped up on our screens that Governor David Umahi and his deputy in Bayelsa State has been sacked by the Supreme Court following their defection from PDP to APC, the ruling party. And ordinarily, one would ask the question of why sacking a state governor, and don't they have the right of freedom of association and defect to any party of their choices? And I want to say that the fundamental purpose of this lay down rules of, will I say, the immunity clause, under section 308 of the 1999 Constitution has been amended to provide shield to the person of the president and the vice president and governors and deputy governors, and from, I believe, from frivolous litigation in respect of their personal or criminal proceedings that would distract him from the serious business of governance. Before we keep going on and on and on, I think on the show today, let me just emphasize that we will be discussing the immunity clause, which protects the sitting governors and presidents as against the electoral laws, which can nullify the powers of an elected person into public office. And never mind, our guest on the show is a son and a capable legal luminary in Nigeria. Son Chijoke, I hope I pronounced that properly.
Chijoke Okoli.
Chijoke Okoli.
S-A-N. The S-A-N comes after.
Yes. All right, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. And let's just go straight to the topic at hand. I want to start from the immunity law that was enacted to enable governors, presidents, and their deputies to focus on serious business governance in their respective offices. And I feel that Governor Dave Umahi, has appealed to the High Court regarding the decision that was taken. But from your own legal perspective, should electoral laws that brings public servants to office be overruled with the privilege of immunity?
I will tell you, the law is not mathematics.
Okay.
I'll give this caveat, and then sometimes you get to the Supreme Court, you have a full court, okay, and you have the court split 2 to 5 or 3 to 4. Okay. It's all a question about your reasoning. Now, I think it is section 308 of the Constitution that provides for that immunity. For me, it will appear to take care of the normal situation. I have a problem with the governor of my state or any other state. He says, "Oh, Chijoke Okoli, you're a fake lawyer, you're a thief or whatever." Ordinarily, I would have a case against him for defamation. But the moment he wields that section 308 before the regular court, that's the end of the matter. Again, because it also talks about criminal proceedings. Yeah. Then you go and accuse the governor that you stole money, you did this and you did that, and he waives that. That is why EFCC, for all the sometimes glaring cases of corruption, what actually grand larceny going on in government houses, that this EFCC would wait.
Till they're out of office.
Now, but you see, we have to have a nuanced reading of that. He says, whilst you remain in office. I don't want to go into, it's not my style to turn a newspaper or radio, TV discussion into an appellate arena where you argue. I would be very circumspect. I would not go into the matter. For starters, I have not read the judgment, but there are certain things that are in the public domain. And within that limited scope, I would go to say that, you see, there is a foundational matter regarding Section 308, that you are still in office. So where the case comes in and makes a fundamental attack that you have ceased to be in that office by virtue of XYZ, then it is my considered view. And of course, I'm not a court, much less a court of appeal, that it is very much arguable that the immunity clause cannot stand that. Like I said, it's a foundational. If you read that, it says that whilst you remain in office, no civil or criminal proceedings could be brought against any person to which the that provision relates to, and it sets down the governor, the president, the vice president, the governor, and deputy, as long as you remain in the office. So now, if, as what we read in the papers, the court saying that, wait a minute, the moment you leave the language of the street, you port from your sponsor, you no longer occupying that office.
Yes.
So this nuance reading. So when I read this stuff by my brother Silk Ozekome, I said, well, he's been paid to argue some of these things in court, but that on the other side, it's not as straightforward and cut and dried as some of these commentators will say. You see, because, for example, it is straight law. Whilst you talk about jurisdiction, that the court does not have jurisdiction in a matter, the court has power, jurisdiction, to determine whether it has jurisdiction or not. So you don't just go to court and say, oh, you don't have jurisdiction, and the court will say, is that what you're saying, and go. The court will have to look into it. So the parity of reasoning in this particular case, if we say you have ceased to remain in office, ipso facto, you can't wield that. We have to look into if indeed you have failed to continue in that office, in which event.
But issue of the let's say Immute Act, was elucidated, right? I hope I pronounced elucidated by the Supreme Court in the case of Bola Tinubu. I remember them versus IMB Securities at the time. I think in 2001 to be precise, and it favored Tinubu at the time. And I must ask you, with all that you've shared thus far, do you think that he will win or be reinstated? What's your take on this?
I'm a lawyer, not a prophet. When all these prophets, what's the name of Laba and everything, they go and say all this and all that, and then even the man in Enugu, Ejike, Mbaka, that will say this. That's not my skills. Okay. I'm a lawyer. I look at issue. All I will say, if I may reiterate so, is that there are certain provisions you look at and you say that even when they don't have mathematical precision, but that you could say that this is the most likely outcome. In this particular case, I don't think it could be that way. That's what I'm going to say. So the much I'm going to say is that those who are waiving that immunity as if it's an alchemist wand that will turn everything into gold, I don't share in their optimism, and in that particular, that is that cut and dried. It isn't at all. Because like I said, I explained to you, if you have a nuanced reading, at any rate, the one of Bola Tinubu, the facts are completely different. And what the law, they will teach you in law school first, that the case is only an authority for what it decides. So the facts, some of the things the Supreme Court will tell you in Bola Tinubu, when you bring it to bear, somebody could argue, and quite rightly, that they are what they call obiter dicta. Anything that does not fall within the compass of the particular facts in issue being decided would amount to as obiter dicta, which is of less binding. It can guide, but it's really not binding. What binds the court is the core reasoning, which, pardon my use of the Latinese, ratio decidendi.
Okay. It reminds me of listening to Senator Obayagbo, if I'm not mistaken. But I said it reminds me. It reminds me. It's not close.
He's not.
No, it reminds me. It could be far away, but in that context. But however, looking at
this is a term of art, like when it's ratio decidendi. Let me tell you, if you see lawyers, the most common, the commonest book you see with them is a yellow book, Ghanai's law report. You see, after stating the facts, the next thing, the head note, you say ratio, which the last will say ratio 1. It was telling you the core point. That is, it just shortens it, but it's actually ratio decidendi. And I added the caveat that, pardon my use of the Latinese.
absolutely, but no, in this.
But that's not Agbaha, but he is a class by himself.
He's just in a class of his own.
But my question now is, looking at all of the precedents that is on the table at this time, at this crucial time, I think that judging by how you speak and knowing your onions, there are a lot of capable sons, lawyers that Nigeria has produced, but yet it appears that our judiciary system is quite lame in judgment delivery, in trials, and in some other cases generally. Would we say the human factor is a main cause for this, or the Nigerian system peculiarity?
Well, if we're discussing the weaknesses of the judiciary in Nigeria, is another topic we can sleep here talking about it. But what I would say is that it will be a very dishonest, it will be a very dishonest stakeholder that will tell you that there are not major problems, and part of which is human resource. Yes, I will tell you. I mean, we're in a public, because the issue of administration of justice is more important. It's too important to be left to lawyers and judges and some smoky rooms to talk about, because at the end of the day, it's a service, and the service are the litigants, and people are complaining. So you have issues. Every day you read in the papers, there's a major issue about appointment of judges. The quality of appointment has gone so low.
Wow.
When I started practice over 30 years ago, when I finished, most cases, late Justice Ilori, God bless his soul, he just died the other day. You got to his court and it was education. The man was on first name basis with his lawyer. And he should, late Dollar Parkinson, brilliant woman. So you name them, they were all, these were like the norm. Now you have this, okay, like this, and then people keep complaining about, being an old boy and old girl network. You see the controversy that attends every appointment of judicial officers. The other time, the NBA president, Ulu Akpata, let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, because in the AJC, he said, can you believe that somebody who was to be appointed, not even High Court judge, appellate judge, didn't know what lis pendens is? Wow. Lis pendens, okay, that's another Latinese.
Okay. We're learning.
Yeah, it is simply that there's an ongoing case. You usually use it with reference to maybe a property or a subject matter of litigation. Sure. So if you go to buy a house that is subject of litigation, you bought nothing, no matter how it is. So once that case is on, the principle of lis pendens. So they ask something this elementary, was asked to somebody who felt confident enough to go and sit on appeal and decide on issues of life and death, your family inheritance and all, because the issue of quality of the bench is humongous. I mean, pardon if I digress. I mean, I'm an avid follower of the of football, and my team is Liverpool. the man who built into the global footballing institution, that was a guy called Bill Shankly. He was given to hyperbole. He said that football is more important than life and death. That's what he said. And like I said, he's hyperbolic. Now, in issues of law and justice, oftentimes are more important than life and death because it is generational. Somebody gives one judgment and people die because the judge, either because of quirk of human character or deficiency in learning. But either way,
so
you have a problem.
Talking about deficiency in learning, I want us to, tilt a little bit towards what's exactly in Ebonyi State, because I know that Governor Dave Umahi said that the lawyers of the PDP are the ones doing forum shopping. I'm quoting him now, and he's saying that he is, going to report the lawyers on, I think, MBA to discipline, and then because of the judge was misled. So I must ask you, could there be, a possible political antagonism, going on with the defection from PDP to APC? What's your take on this?
Oh, clearly, there's a war going on. I mean, political war. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. And we know that in a war situation, the first casualty is the truth. So, I mean, everybody now gives a twist to what they want. But what I do know is that, and back to the caveat that I gave in the first place, that I would not want so much to be drawn into the pith and substance of a live matter that's already gone to the appellate court. I wouldn't do that. But what I would say generally is that, unlike what happened in the APGA case, which was all in the public domain, they were fighting in Anambra State governorship, and somebody goes to Gombe and Bauchi to High Court to go and get an action on the surface. But if somebody does a case, the Federal High Court has the jurisdiction that is pan-Nigeria. You understand? So on the surface, and then I wouldn't get so far to say that it is such an egregious, in-your-face case of foreign shopping. That is, that the people went to the Federal High Court to do the case. That much I'm willing to say without going into the
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thus far.
Yes.
I'd like to take you back to the immunity clause.
Yes.
Won't you say that this immunity clause is a recipe for bad behavior? Why am I saying this? Saying that, there are usually no penalties for bad behavior in the climate we live in.
I agree with you. I agree with you. You see, the problem, the history of Nigeria post-independence has been that something that is otherwise well-intentioned, we almost invariably turn it into such a grotesque caricature of what it should be. The intention was noble, that somebody who you have saddled with executive authority, you should not be sleeping at him or her.
No distractions, more like.
Now, what we have seen, particularly with the advent of the current political dispensations starting in 1999, is impunity on high heels and wearing lipstick and catwalking. That's what I'm saying.
That's why I call it bad behavior.
It is bad behavior, which actually is the reason why in the past few years there have been lots of debate if we should retain it. But you see, the flip side of it, it is a very difficult situation, because let's face it, if you didn't have, even with immunity and everything, we saw what happened during Obasanjo's time. They contrived a way to go and take Ngige, and they said he had left. So if you have a governor who is not on good terms with the controllers of the federal authority, one morning you give us the breaking news that the man has been handcuffed and charged to that.
In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is about the sacking ruling of the Federal High Court on the defected governor and his deputy David Umahi and Kingsley Igwe, who deflected from PDP to APC, and we have been discussing the action of the High Court or the Supreme Court on against immunity privilege of the sitting governors. And I must say many thanks thus far, Okoli, for all you've shared thus far, SAN. And again, let me use this opportunity to open our phone lines, because I'm sure that there are quite a number of people who are listening to us right now and would like to contribute to the topic at hand. And don't forget that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 08098877400, showing on your screen right now. And remember that you can make your comments on all our social media platforms. And of course, we are streaming live on YouTube page, on Real Talk with Kike, and of course on Silverbird platform, and as well as Facebook page. And I must say many thanks for all you've shared thus far.
Yes, and then your viewers, nobody should ask me a question that should put me on the spot of contempt of court.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Noted. Noted. Viewers, copy. All right. So now you've kind of I don't know how to start that. So if the mute Immunity Act, eventually plays out in favor of Governor David Umahi and his deputy, what precedent, because I want us to be real on this platform, what precedent would it set for the governance? Because as far as I'm concerned, I think that it will make sitting presidents reckless when it comes to authority and power abusive administration. What's your take on this?
Well, already there's a body of decisions that affirm the immunity of the chief executives, the president, and also the
governors.
Mm-hmm. By the way, the question that Madam had put up, assuming without immunity, when Obasanjo and his deputy and his vice were fighting like cat and dogs, they would just have taken Atiku and just locked him up. I have absolutely no doubt about that. But what saved him was this immunity. Right, yes. So, back to your question, I think it's not necessarily that if this decision is overturned, that it would increase the scope or area of misbehavior by the executive. Rather, what I see it doing really would be not necessarily the general bad behavior, but political bad behavior. Because for me, without prejudice to what the court says or even the interpretation of that, I find it, there's something in me, it doesn't sit too down well with me, that you come in sponsored by a political party, then midstream, you abandon them and move to the other place.
The opposition
that they gave you. No.
Okay.
And you see, my thesis, you see, when we complain, and we should complain about the misbehavior of the youth that do Yahoo Plus, taking their girlfriends to kill them, to do all sorts of things that, so reprehensible. But you see, we fail to draw a link between the total laissez-faire, egregious misbehavior of the political authorities with what are seen down there. So somebody sits down and does what these things are filtering down one way or the other. So when these things happen and people say, oh, what is it? You have to start from the top.
Exactly.
And I agree with you. And starting
completely
from the top, I want to bring you to speed, because I know that recently, Governor Umahi accused Justice Eko, I hope I pronounced that properly, of doing a hatchet job. And I must ask you, as a son, that can it be charged for contempt, in the court of law, especially when it comes to Section 308 in the 1999 Constitution? In this scenario,
in this particular case, the section, I would tell you off the cuff that 308 is a shield for him. Because if you can't even bring criminal proceedings proper, if you tomorrow even bring compelling evidence that has signed off all the money of a boy, people and put it in a Swiss account, you can't even charge him to court until he leaves. Much less, yes, that's what it is. Much less if you say, oh, that he just disrespected the judge and the court. By the way, I saw some of the news that he had apologized, which
he actually retracted the statement that he didn't say that, but he was already recorded.
It was in the video.
Yes.
No, that is being clever by a quarter, not even by half. If he says, you see, if he apologizes wholeheartedly, yes, but I can take it even with some pinch of salt. But to go to say that I never said it's something that was all there for everybody to see and recorded.
Exactly. But it's always a way of our politicians, especially when they are being caught in the middle, to retract statements that have gone into the public space. I think it has to do with their character and responsibility.
I think it's
because
a character
maybe
flaw.
if you do something, ownership culture like Kike will always preach, take ownership on it, then you can apologize on the damage control.
Precisely, that is what I'm talking about. That you see, we don't seem to pay much attention to abysmal lack of character being exhibited by those in power and every other thing. And then when we see the inevitable consequences further down the road, the other day we heard about the poor girl who entered BRT bus and then had herself mutilated. For me, it is not a huge stretch. I can see all those things, tying it up with all this kind of misbehavior that this people do. Let me give an example, like what in Umahi's case. I'm not talking the law now, but let's talk about the behavior. You go somewhere, there's no problem in PDP. I was watching him. He says, "Oh, that the PDP is not being fair to Igbo people. That's why he's moving to APC." And I said, "When did Igbo people come? Is it Ohaneze that told you? And why are they telling you alone? Why are the other PDP governors?" There was no case where the Ohaneze say, "Oh, we are making this demand to da-da-da-da," and we're asking the governors if they don't give you these assurances. The man went there on his own without thinking about the morality of it. Let me just oppose his situation with what we're saying. When P2B left and joined, P2B was known famously for APGA. P2B will tell you till tomorrow that he was conscious of the fact that he became a governor under APGA.
Yes.
And he finished his tenure as APGA governor before he moved to PDP. This is what we call about character and fairness. But those in power in Nigeria have absolutely no concern. It is anything that they think they can do and get self or group advantages, they do it without thinking. So when you keep doing all those things, then you think that the boys in universities who are doing Yahoo Plus and every other thing will not see what you're doing and try to do it in their own way. That's my take. So that's the bait, that perhaps if the judgment of Justice Ekwo, I have no dog in the fight, but if that judgment is upheld, one thing I can assure you is that you will not have politicians jumping from place
one party
to the other. To tell you how silly that this is, in Anambra State, because some people sold them the idea that that the president was going to set for APC to take over. A number of them from PDP and even APGA jumped to APC. But of course, one thing we'll give to President Buhari is that under his tenure, he does not adhere to control INEC, unlike what we had under Obasanjo. I mean, let's say it. I mean, the rap sheet against Buhari is plenty, but also when we have things we have to say in his favor, we have to say that. So the people use the name that the president has signed off, legislators jump to APC. When APC got
when they are getting heated, they come back.
They get a bloody nose in the gubernatorial election. shamelessly, these same people who jumped back to the same place. So what are they telling their kids about loyalty? What are they telling the underlings about loyalty? So, like I said, we wake up one morning and as if we don't know, according to Achebe, where the rain started to beat us. We know.
You know, that's what I said.
I also want to add to what you said, sir. It's become the character of our politicians. In times past, we have seen it over again. You know, jumping ship. Because I'm looking at it from the angle that it must be a character flaw on their part, on the one hand, and on the other hand, because they're looking for safe landing. That's why they'll rather jump to the ruling party just to shield them. They now create the immunity for themselves now, since, do you understand what I'm trying to say, sir? So, just to shield them from, we know a particular person who did that, and it's working against him right now. I'm sure you have an idea who I'm talking about. I'm not allowed to mention names. You have an idea. So I think it's, so I'm thinking it's a character flaw on their part.
No, it is. You see, and part of it is because there's no consequence. No consequence
for that behavior.
We have, over time, entrenched a situation of total anomaly. Okay. There's no difference between the sacred and the profane.
Sure.
You do what you please and then say, hey, what can happen?
And you get away with it?
And then, particularly, when they go to the ruling party, within some limits, like some of them get shielded. But we've also known situations. Okay, fine.
Now you know.
All
Hit home.
All right, I know we're running out of time
some
now.
of them do so, and then they find out that it doesn't work.
Burn their fingers.
All right, many thanks for all
you,
you
sir.
shared thus far. I think this might be the last question before we move to the last segment of the show, because I'm curious, because when it comes to leadership in our country, I just feel that most of the time we are really not paying attention to power, character. We are paying attention to credentials, and I don't think that is enough. And Governor David Umahi, you know, is one of the presidential aspiration for 2021, and the statistics, as far as I'm concerned, under the administration is not impressive, you know. And I must ask you, why is someone like that, who is running for presidency, is owing staff salaries? And we've seen how trade union in the state are also dissatisfied with him, with a little of the research that I have made online. So what does this mean for his presidential administration thus far, with all the razzmatazz that is going on around it?
Let me add a caveat. It's news to me that he's owing. I didn't know all this. What is known so much about him? They call him the project governor. I haven't been to Abakaliki. Yes, but what most people do say for him in his favor is that the whole place is like one huge construction place that people ask, where does it get the money, really? Because the funds due to Ebonyi State is one of the least. So the popular wisdom out there is that he is a quote unquote a performing governor.
Yes. I've heard that too.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Let's. I mean, like I said,
it's real talk here. So let's be real.
Let's be real. That is a performing governor. He's building a massive airport. He's doing that.
He has also built what's it called, ShopRite, that he said he paid. He used 8 billion.
Well, I wouldn't know. I'm not privy to that. Even though for me, at least he's doing something.
I saw all that online.
He appears to be doing a lot
of construction.
Yeah, whether that should be the priority for me is a different thing, because I'm not his advisor. But Ebonyi State is the most otherwise least developed, especially in terms of human capital development. Yes, I was actually shocked when I learned that with all the the Southeast State, by all indices, would get into the top 6 of the school. That is actually categorized as educationally disadvantaged.
Wow.
Oh yes. So for me, without sacrificing necessary infrastructure, I would think that a lot of emphasis should be built on human capacity.
All right,
Capital.
many thanks for all your submission thus far, and I must say thank you, for creating time to be on our lunch show today. But before we let you go, let's discuss trending stories. Those are stories that bind us as family. Don't worry, I will not take you off your shit. Before you give me a sounding warning to say, Kike, I don't want to touch on this. And the first trending story that caught our attention is that of Chidima, the alleged killer of Super TV CEO who won Miss Cell 2020. And I really don't want to use the word alleged anymore. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we all heard it when she was filmed and she, admitted that she killed the man. But, and therefore, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on this?
Kike, I'll be truthful. I think Nigeria is a joke. Because you cannot have somebody who has a murder charge on her head, and now you are doing a beauty competition in the prisons and she emerges the queen of the cell. This is somebody who has I'm not a lawyer, but you have a murder charge hanging on your head. The person who was killed is somebody's son, somebody's husband, father of children. And yet, the prison authorities deem it fit to have, what do you call it?
The beauty pageant.
No, the beauty pageant, and you now see them, you saw that pose, the one on the platform, taking pictures with her. So what are we saying? What are we telling our children? Are we telling them that if you do wrong, don't worry? Question is, I have too many questions in my head. Who are the people shielding this girl? Because that's what I see. She's looking so fresh. She will get privileges in prison. She can eat the best foods and whatever. This is a child who should ordinarily be in school. Right. Now she has a murder charge, and now she's winning the beauty contest in the prisons.
All right, many thanks for your submission, and therefore, and I agree with you that this is ridiculous, and I feel that we lack emotional sensitivity in our country. Our system is a shambles of all sorts of madness, for lack of a better word right now. Please, I apologize for my choice of word, but I just feel that we are just a joke. Waking up to this, caught me off guard this morning, and I felt that this is the last thing that I never even expected will come to the forefront of our online mainstream social platform. And those, I want to say this, those who have been to the prison talks about what happens in the prison, that when you have money, anything can happen, and that and for some reason, I want to say that yes, they are not lying, because we've seen what have transpired. And I must also say that they say you can, sorry, we keep it real on this platform. They say you can sleep with the best of women when you're also in the prison. Absolutely. And enjoy the best of food, just like it's part of this.
Yes,
even after
part of your privileges.
Even after 1 house, please, even after committing crime against the entire public, and we can still see that they have the audacity to come outside. I want to assume that this even transpired. I do not imagine that they will bring it to the social media. I feel that these days people do not lie, and that is the reason why sometimes I feel that the government might be right to put some level of checks and balances, because what a shame. And like you said, this is someone's father, this is someone's husband, this is someone's son, and I'm wondering what the hell could have happened that this girl who allegedly, I don't want to even say allegedly, but who killed the Super TV CEO, and I'm looking at it that the loved ones of this disease will be wondering that what went wrong, what is going on in our system. What do they want us to feel right now is the fact that I see that this lady, as far as I'm concerned, she has blood in her hands, and yes, she's been paraded at Miss Cell. Is that to make someone even make someone feel like, okay, they can commit a murder and after the end,
exactly.
you know, nothing will
with
happen to them and all of that. What message is it that they are passing across to other criminals is what came to mind. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, I worry about what is happening in the prison form. I'm beginning to think that are they creating some, so I don't know what kind of world is being created in the correctional center that we are supposed to actually create some level of soberness in them. Now we have seen that this has become an organizing event where people can come out, look at the dress she's wearing for the first time. I'm sorry to say this, while coming on air, I saw what Reno Mokore posted on social media, and Reno Mokore said that there must be a zaddy daddy. I don't know if that's what they use. That means like you're the one on the street, you know, you're the one that knows all this slang. And I'm wondering, what a shame.
Yeah.
This is a shame to our country. And again, what are we celebrating exactly? Because I understand that some people were writing on social media that they are celebrating International Women's Day. They say, what kind of International Women's Day? In this world, we should not pray that, as far as I'm concerned, I feel that we should not pray that our matter be in court, because I'm sorry to say this, I know I'm sitting in front of a stand, but I feel that it can take donkey years, and at the end of the day, it will be swept under the carpet and nothing will happen. And that is exactly what we are seeing presently that is ongoing. Because I'm wondering, what came to mind when they look at the young girls, not just Chidima, and we have seen that there are a lot of young girls today that are committing a lot of crimes that is not in our forefront today. Look at the girls, Dami, what's your take on this?
Well, I think I have a contrary opinion. Where in my own situation, in my opinion, being in prison does not make her less of a person, first of all. Second of all, I think that Miss Cell is not Miss Nigeria.
I know.
It's title. It's not Miss World. She's there. She's collecting Miss Cell. Cell upon what? Do you understand? But I always say there's a consequence for everything. The internet never forgets. Her children will live to see it. Her grandchildren will live to see that she's been through this phase before. But however, it boils down to what San said. See, this thing did not start from today. It started a long time ago where we should have been talking. But now the talk is like it's late, and they already know that they will talk and they will keep quiet because nothing will happen. So hence representing Miss with all of, I thought that they should even be in some kind of uniform. If you're doing beauty pageant.
What's your take on this submission?
No, all your points are well taken, but you see, I sum it up the same thing, going back to what I said, is that our moral compass has gone completely askew. You know, in a situation of anomy, where you do what is right and wrong is no longer known again. Yes. So people are doing what otherwise would be very, very bad thing, but they think it's okay. Somebody cheats its organization, steals money, goes to court, pays tithe on it. The irony is lost on the person. And they say, oh, God has blessed me. What they're calling that blessing is that is defrauded some other person. So the optics,
many times.
You see, because that's the same way. If we bring it up, another thing in the public domain, right from the very beginning, anytime I used to see Abaka, renowned disgrace, I used to say, there are certain occupations that require sobriety. So you're a police officer, he is helping on social media, they're going to some place. I said, what is that? You're going to parties and every other thing, you know. So it's all
right, many thanks for that. Quickly, we have 3 minutes to quickly touch on the second trending story. And the second trending story is about India overtaking Nigeria as world poverty capital. And I really want
India overtaking Nigeria,
yes, and it's a bit annoying.
Yeah, it's so what we
are now second, you know, and it's a bit annoying that some people are jubilating that we are now number 2, and while some countries are celebrating greater achievement and creating better system for its citizens, and we only moved a step below in the ladder of poverty, and we feel that it's something that we should write home about. And I wonder the reason why this article is being highlighted at the moment and is coming to the forefront as well, because I feel that Nigerians as world's second largest poverty capital was not supposed even to be published in the first place. But India, that we are rejoicing over, has come first in poverty doing far better than Nigerians in many areas of economic indices, whether we like it or not. I can stand to say that as of today, India has information technology. I can say that today, for instance, as I speak right now, some hospitals in Nigeria are being currently referring people to India for surgeries, and we import most of our what's it called now, products, to India as well. So I just feel that it's absurd that Nigerians still go on and still be jubilating while we are still India is a country to reckon with when it comes to economic emergency. And I feel that when I was going through this, I just felt that this is a bit annoying as well. If Nigeria, if at the moment we are piling up debts, and we are talking about comparing ourselves with a citizen like India, and we still have the right, look at the statistic, for example, because as far as I'm concerned, I just feel that they are more in terms of populace than we are, and India is the second most populous country in the world after with China, over 1.3 billion people, and Nigeria is still here with over 200 million people, which we are like 1/6 of its population. I just feel that Kike, the complex problems it's ridiculous and annoying.
I didn't read the article, but I don't know if you're old enough, and I'm not putting age rank on you. One of my favorite columnists back in the day was Olatunji Dare. He was a master satirist. So I probably, whoever was writing this must have been writing satire. But if he meant it seriously, then what comes to mind is they say that the dilemma of the audience in a theater of the absurd is never knowing whether to laugh or to cry. A spectacle before them. So if it was meant to be read seriously, then it was a veritable theater of the absurd.